Hello, everyone. So, tonight I wanted to come live and bust the second big, most common marriage myth that I hear all the time. And this one is about conflict in marriage. The myth that I hear all the time is that happily married couples don't fight. And I wish I had a huge balloon to just pop and zap that out of existence, because the truth is that whether or not you have conflict in your marriage is not an indicator of whether or not you have a good marriage. Because the truth is, we didn't marry our clone. There's always going to be differences of opinion. So it's not the presence of disagreement and argument that put a marriage in kind of troubled waters, but how a couple fights that is most important. So I learned this from Dr. John Gottman, who is a world-renowned marriage expert and researcher and doctor. And he became famous by being able to predict with 91% accuracy whether or not a couple would end up with, whether a marriage would survive and thrive or whether a marriage would break up, after watching them fight in his love lab for 15 minutes. So he could watch a couple interact for just 15 minutes and predict with 91% accuracy whether or not they would stay together in the next 6 years. It's crazy, with crazy percent accuracy. So he has all of these studies and all the things that he learned from watching couples fight, and the presence of fighting or conflict in no way dictates whether or not the couple will stay together, but it's kind of the way they fight. So one of the things Dr. Gottman talks about is the presence of the four horsemen, which is criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. That's what Dr. Gottman calls the four horsemen. So this myth is actually super layered, and there's a lot to unpack. We could talk about it all night and probably into the next day, but we're not going to unpack all of it. But just know that just because there's conflict in a marriage does not make it an unhappy marriage. Like, most couples, all couples disagree, fight. It's what makes us human, and it's what makes us different. And he even talks about the fact that couples can be yelling and screaming at each other without having any negative effects on the marriage, which to me, screaming and yelling freaks me out. But he says the way couples interact is just unique to them and doesn't necessarily mean destruction for the marriage. In fact, many of the common disagreements that couples have in a marriage can be overcome with some simple tools and strategies